Hello, and welcome to Spirit Among Us. Ephesians chapter 2, verses 4 and 5. But God, being rich in mercy, because of the great love with which he loved us, even when we were dead in our trespasses, made us alive together with Christ. By grace you have been saved. Yesterday we were talking about how great the love of God is. He cares for us in ways that we don't understand, and in ways that should make us forever grateful. He is truly a great and awesome God, and John fittingly said that God is love. Today we're taking a look at a verse that reveals more of the depth of God's love for us. That is this, that even when we were dead in our trespasses, he made us alive in him. We must consider that proposition if we are to see how vast God's love is. Even when we were dead, even when we were living in sin, enslaved to sin, and living a life against his will, he still chose to make us alive in him. Remember that we were completely spiritually dead without his help. Here is God Most High, enthroned in heaven, looking down and seeing the absolute helplessness of man. He had no obligation to help us. No one told him that he had to save us. And it wasn't because of anything that was in us that led God to bring us life. He didn't do it because we were worthy of him. Reminding ourselves of this past deadness points out that salvation is a complete and total act of mercy and grace. Without that, if God didn't have grace and mercy, we would have stayed in our deadness. Without his help, we would have never seen true life. So God saved us from our deadness and in our deadness, but more specifically, the deadness we were in from our trespasses. We had lived in sin. We had no hope for an escape from that. And we must remember, we weren't just violating the laws of the universe. We weren't just doing things that weren't best. We were trespassing against God. We were breaking his law and his commands. He gave the law, presented it to Moses so that mankind would know this is good and this is evil. And we took that. We took those commands and violated them. So not only is God not obligated to save us, but he's actually obligated to do the opposite. In fact, the logical thing for God to do seems to be to condemn us. He is the God who is the Holy of Holies, and he brings justice on those who break the law, as a good judge does. So because of our sin against him, he was obligated to punish us. And this is where we begin to see how great the love of God is. Because even though that would have been perfectly fair and perfectly just and good for God to do that, even though he was obligated to bring condemnation on us, he chose to do otherwise. In fact, he went so far as to come down as a man, live the perfect life that we couldn't live, and die the death that we deserved to die. He took our sentence, our punishment, on himself. I want to look to Isaiah chapter 53 verses 4 and 5. Surely he has borne our grief and carried our sorrows. Yet we esteemed him stricken, smitten by God, and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. Upon him was the chastisement that brought us peace, and with his wounds we are healed. This is the glorious love of God, which shines all the brighter once we realize the incredible price that he paid for us. Thank Jesus today for dying in your place. He saved you when you couldn't save yourself, and for that, He deserves praise. Thank you for watching, and God bless.